Sweet. Excellent. Welcome, everybody, to another Creospark webinar. Hopefully get some thumbs up from somebody that you are hearing us fine. I'm coming in clear. You can see our pictures and whatnot. Excellent. That's exactly what I was looking to see. Thank you so very much. We have quite a lot of material to cover. I'm so excited to have one of my partners here, Rez. We'll do quick intros here shortly. A lot of you have been asking for this discussion from us. We're looking at getting AI into the workplace. Most of us are Microsoft shops, probably, if you're involved in this or you work with Microsoft technologies. Microsoft is pushing Copilot like nothing else they've ever done before, and that's saying something for Microsoft. But ChatGPT is a huge thing a lot of people are using. So what's the difference? What should I be using in the workplace? So we thought, let's go ahead and have a SmackDown. Let's go ahead and look at these two applications. And there's other applications out there. I'm going to touch on that a little bit as well. But we want to look at these two like really big players in the workspace and see if we can help you figure out and make some decisions. So let's go ahead and, first, for those of you who are new to us, some quick intros here. I'll start first, Rez. My name is Eric Overfield. I'm the CIO at Creospark. I'm a Microsoft MVP. I'm a Microsoft Regional Director. I've written a couple books. I love the community. I really enjoy being able to share what I've learned so that you all can be successful as well. How about you, Rez?
Perfect. Nice to meet everybody. My name is Noorez Khamis. Everybody calls me Rez. I am CTO and co-founder here at Creospark. Excited for this webinar.
Excellent. And then, hey, let's find out. For those that haven't been introduced to us yet, Rez, please, who are we?
Perfect. Thanks for being here with us, everyone. Before I begin, we just want to take a moment to introduce our company, Creospark. We're a US and Canada-based team of Microsoft 365 implementation experts who love helping our clients achieve that amazing employee experience using Microsoft Cloud Tech. Our headquarters are in Davis, California and Toronto, Canada, but we work all across North America. As you see here, we have three main solution areas. The first one is modern work. The purpose here is really to help organizations work from anywhere on any device exactly the way they want. Examples of the types of solutions we deploy in this area includes things like enterprise document and records migrations, intranets, extranets, Viva-based employee experience deployments, AI-based document processing in SharePoint, and of course, everything to do like what we're talking about today, like Microsoft 365 Copilot and AI-based agents. The second solution area is our process transformation solution area. And what we do here is really help organizations of any size go digital at their own pace, transferring those repetitive tasks to AI. So think of us when it comes to optimizing your business processes, specifically when you're thinking about using technology like Power Platform, Power Apps, Power BI, Fabric, Power Pages, Power Automate, Power anything. So also Dynamics 365, and of course, Copilot Studio. And then lastly, from a secure cloud solution area perspective, we want to make sure that your security, compliance, and identity and device management are solid, because the cloud should be as safe as it is smart. So think about services like Azure, identity with Entra ID, device management, Intune, MDM, and security with Purview and Defender. Hopefully that gives everybody a good idea of who we are. So now over to you, Eric, for some housekeeping.
Excellent. Yep. Okay. Q&A, please. We're here for your questions. I'm sure you could go to ChatGPT and ask it, hey, what's the difference between Copilot, ChatGPT, or vice versa? That's going to give you these little snippets and not necessarily correct, nor to a human to answer it. You ask the questions here. You're here live. We're going to have a recording come out eventually, but it'll be harder to ask questions at that point. So please do ask questions. We'll have some handouts for some stuff afterwards as well. A lot of you asked for certificates for attendance. Absolutely. We can make those available to you afterwards as well. And yeah, so hopefully we'll have a lot of fun, but please use that question tab. We are going to have questions at the end, but by all means, please put those questions in now. We'll try to weave them in to really help you provide some of the value of this webinar. The pretty quick overview of what we're trying to do. We want to start with that evolution slide. We got to ground ourselves here. We have to make sure that we're all on the same page when we're talking about AI, how we got here, where we're going, and things like that. So then we'll go ahead and look at what's the difference between Copilot, ChatGPT. And if you don't even really know what I'm talking about, you maybe have heard of this thing called ChatGPT or something, but you know what it is, don't worry. Like, we're going to really have a foundational look at what these things are. We want to look at things like security and privacy, licensing and deployment, some real world demos. I want to show some stuff off pretty quick, just so we can also see all this in action before we dig into too much detail. And hopefully with you with some discussions. I really want to look at next steps, roadmap, how to get started, things like that. And of course, answer any of your questions live. As Rez showed with who we are as Creospark, if you end up with more questions, we're here for you. If you're looking for help deploying this stuff, absolutely. We want to talk with you. I'm a little biased. This is a part of the practice that I run myself, so I really am enjoying coming up with some AI solutions for organizations. But yeah, let's see what we can do with this. I think it's great to start with a poll. So I'm going to hand over to Prem here quickly. He's going to launch a poll for us. Really like to know what you all are thinking right now. Like, where are you in your journey? Just helps us get started. It's pretty much anonymous. So, feel free to just say what it is. And I want to do it myself too, because there are certain things I love more than others. Righty. Give you a few more seconds. Got 13 responses. Yeah, very cool. Very interesting. All right. And Rez, if you have any comments, by all means. But here's my first comment is, no one's coming in is not sure yet. That's awesome. It's also, I'm a little surprised. I thought we'd have a few people that would be like, I don't know yet. So cool. Content creation, knowledge discovery, employee experience. I love it. Interesting on the document library. Not too many of you have saying that, but cool stuff. Rez, any quick comments you wanted to make on the results as they come in?
No, I think that that's the natural evolution that everybody starts with is search and knowledge discovery around it.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Okay. Let's ground ourselves in what the whole point is here. Now, I paraphrased something that I heard that really came out from Satya and Richard, which is, this isn't a direct quote, but I using their words. That's why I wanted to make sure they got attribution for it. That AI, it's not here to take our job. It's to help to take away our busy work. And the reason why this is an important thing is that a lot of people that I'm talking to, when they hear AI at work, the first thing they're often thinking about is this uncertainty or basic fear. Am I losing my job because of all this? And when it comes down to it, the companies that are creating these AI tools that are leading it, I'm thinking here like Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, Facebook, X, Google, there's a bunch of them out there. They're not looking to get rid of us. What they're looking to help us do is this is what they say at least, they're trying to help us take care of and handle some of those mundane, repetitive, manual, time-consuming tasks so that we can actually focus on really what matters, what we as humans can bring to the workplace, which is really thinking, collaborating, leading and creating. As much as AI seems super cool and it seems to create things and it seems to think, it doesn't. Currently not at all right now. There's an idea of an AGI, this artificial, I hear it as artificial general intelligence. I hear it as a couple different things, but AGI, this idea of AI that could do anything. I've even started to see Sam Altman from OpenAI say that that's not happening as soon as we thought. That keeps shifting what that even means. So we humans still have a lot of value we can bring to it, but I for one have lots of repetitive tasks. I'm sure you do as well. So really, are you trying to find information faster or draft content that maybe could take hours? Guilty. Definitely love it. AI for that. Surface those insights that might be buried under all that content, that search and discovery you all said. AI has this opportunity to help us here. And when it comes down to it, there's a couple of really big players that are in the marketplace that can help us use some of these cool new AI tools. And when we talk to a lot of you or a lot of other clients that are out there, they're really basically coming to us saying, should I be going with Copilot or ChatGPT? And we thought that'd be a really good idea to look through that and see how can these tools help us, help our organizations, because none of us really have any interest in removing people from the equation. What we want to do is help everyone free up time so they can be more impactful for the organization they work with. So next step here is going to be let's go ahead and think through a evolution here. So Rez, whoops, we're missing a graphic here. That's weird. It should have a nice little thing across it. But Rez, no, kind of give us some idea. Where are we?
Yeah, perfect. Just a few years ago, AI was just a buzzword. Today, it's almost every organization's priority. And as Eric said, I want to take a step back and give people that are on the webinar here that are new to Gen AI in general and are still catching up a quick 2-minute overview of this AI wave that's happened. And let's start with the GPT acronym in ChatGPT. And to do that, let's talk a little bit about the company OpenAI. So OpenAI was founded in 2015 by names you're likely familiar with: Elon Musk, Sam Altman, you already heard Eric say it, and some other whose goal was to ensure AI can benefit everyone. They started in 2018 by creating these things called GPT models, which stands for the G being generative. This means that the model can generate new types of content, things like text and code and conversations, instead of just analyzing and classifying data. The P stands for pre-trained, and this means that the GPT has already been trained on huge data sets, things like books and websites and blogs and articles, all of these trusted areas that the OpenAI thought they would want to train them on. Before you even use GPT, it has these pre-learned patterns in language, facts, reasoning, and more during this pre-training that happened. And now this pre-training also has the flexibility so that when you're working with it, it can be fine-tuned for specific tasks or usage, things like chatting. The T stands for transformer. This is the architecture GPT is based on, which is called neural networks, introduced by Google way back in 2017. And that's really good at understanding and generating language by focusing on the understanding and the context of words. And this uses a mechanism called attention. Now, GPT was introduced in 2022. ChatGPT was introduced in 2022, and that's based on OpenAI's now GPT 3.5 version model, which was that first public model, public version, and that's where everything went viral. And shortly after, that's when Microsoft 365 Copilot was announced. So Eric, over to you to talk a little bit about Copilot.
Okay, yeah, so really there was that shift in around 2023 when Microsoft started to embrace this. Now, I mean, they started a little before because Microsoft is a major investor in OpenAI, so they were definitely involved in it. It's one of the, I think, really smart moves that was recently made by Microsoft. And they then did this shift, and Microsoft just went full in on AI. Everything switched from other verbiage to now it's all about Copilot. But their focus was from shifting us from, say, that the novelty of what ChatGPT could do to get real business value out of this AI conversational tool. And it was really about business value, productivity, automation, helping with decisions and things like that. So that, yeah, now we move into 2024 and forward, and we're in this massive evolution now. It's going fast. And AI, though, it's becoming not optional. And I think you are all listening here and you're joining in because you know that now. This is a competitive differentiator that needs to be embraced somehow. We need to figure this out and figure out the right way to use it within our organizations. But we're seeing that, that the organizations that adopt this really responsibly and particularly strategically, that's where they're going to find the real transformation, because there is a lot of hype out there, and we need to know what's good, what actually can be done and what can't, as well as a lot of users still are only scratching the surface, or they flat out just don't know. And we've seen deployments before people came to us where they deployed Copilot or even ChatGPT in the workplace, and they really got no engagement, which is really shocking. But I think that's just, I'm so embedded in AI. I can't believe I'm using these tools daily. It's hard for me to believe some people aren't, but that is the truth. So we really want to know, what's the right strategy for us for our organization. So then let's go ahead and, we'll meet our two contenders here in this transformation, in this SmackDown that we've got going on here, if you want to call it that, and think through Copilot really versus ChatGPT. And what I want to do here is we're going to look at a high overview here. I'm going to flip us to a demo and show us some Copilot in action, show us some ChatGPT in action. I've got a couple of prompts I want to show you. Might be a review for a bunch of you, but I found every time I do this, there's some people to be like, oh, wow, I didn't even know you could do that. So I want to do that. Then we'll go into some really granular details of how each particular platform handles different kind of scenarios and what it's really good at. Copilot itself, I'm going to switch it and start with like ChatGPT because it came first. ChatGPT is this kind of standalone conversational AI. Often people are still calling it a chatbot. I don't like that word. I think it's really antiquated, but it's this standalone component that sits over at effectively chatgpt.com, although it redirects you to a different URL, but it's ChatGPT. It's really supposed to be ingested by most users via the web browser itself, but there are some very extremely ways to there's some amazing ways to extend it using APIs and app integrations. That's where it can get really interesting from the dev perspective. It's really good at ideation, research. You can ask it questions. You can ask it to write some things for you and stuff. Create content, create blog posts. A lot of people are doing that. It's fun ways to now you can spot when people have written things with AI tools because of the way they work. And it's powerful, but it's really this web-based interface or really integrating it using APIs that you or your organization has built. Its general context is the web. So where does it get its data from? Where does it get its knowledge from, shall we say? It's really from just the public web. Or if you provide it specific information, and I'm going to kind of show you some of that in action. Copilot, and when I say Copilot here, I'm really saying Microsoft 365 Copilot. So just going to be easier for me than saying those words. I'm going to say Copilot. Copilot is really an extension on top of all of that. It's this embedded AI assistant, embedded assistant. Embedded is the big word here. Copilot is more of an orchestrator. It is making all of this magic happen. And one of the things it uses to make some really cool AI magic happen is it utilizes the back-end model, the back-end knowledge of what GPT is. And this was just recently rolled out even. Microsoft or Copilot is now making GPT-5, the most recent model that OpenAI released. It's already embedded into Copilot, but Copilot does so much more. It's this component, it's this AI assistant built into our tools. Yes, it has the same similar web interface that ChatGPT has, but it's one of its really big strengths is the fact it's embedded in the applications you're using. So this is really for helping with productivity as well as moving into workflow automation. Sure, it can help you with ideation, it can help you with researching and whatnot, but that's not necessarily, I mean, shines really well, but it goes way beyond that. It's a better way to put it. Now, the data context, where its data comes from, this is one of the big ones of Copilot that ChatGPT can start to do in enterprise, but it's not, that wasn't its core at all. Copilot is designed to utilize the data found within your Microsoft 365 tenant. So as we talk about that, just keep thinking about that piece of Copilot is using your data safely, securely. We'll go through all that data, and it is also it's also embedded in the apps. Now, quick little side note here. There are a lot of different options here that you could be using. There's a lot of different tools. There's Claude by Anthropic. There's Gemini by Google, Llama by Facebook, Grok by xAI. There's a whole bunch, by X. There's a whole bunch of different tools out there that are not bad. I mean, they can be really good and very useful. In fact, there's some really interesting, very specific AI use cases offerings, such as like, say Salesforce or Workday or things like that. They all have their own AI offerings as well. There's a whole thing called vibe coding, and hopefully none of you, well, hopefully some of you have heard of it, but hopefully most of you are like, what? Don't worry about it. There's like Cloud Code Cursor, GitHub Copilot will say these eventually. Lovable. I personally use Windsurf. There's a lot of really cool AI tools. I get that. We could go into a big smackdown of all of them, but they're so across the board. We wanted to stick with the highest level, the most people are asking about kind of scenario, and that's about Copilot and ChatGPT. So if you have questions about those others, throw them in the chat or ping us later. I'm happy to go over some of those with you and why one might be better than the other. If you're building a chatbot for your public-facing website, although Copilot or ChatGPT could probably do it in different ways, there's like tools that can do that are canned solutions. Within a half hour, you'll have it ready to go. Yeah, those might be good for you, and I get it. They might be really helpful. If you're a legal firm, you might want an AI model trained to the legal profession that knows how to work with I just forgot the system everyone uses in legal. I get that. But from the high level for most orgs, a general AI tool can be very useful. These are our two big contenders. So let me go ahead and quickly show you a little bit this in action. Now I'm going to have to see if I can actually get it to share my screen properly. I've been hit and miss when this happens when I do it. Hopefully y'all can see my screen. Let me go ahead and get my prompts ready. Let me go ahead and start over in Copilot. Okay, so we start with Copilot. There's a couple ways to get to this. Easy ways are portal.office.com. Basically, you go to Copilot. If you go to your Microsoft 365 tenant now, you'll notice that you basically get dumped into Copilot now. That's our new start page, which is pretty interesting, where it can quickly say, hey, let's go ahead and start chatting. You'll typically find with Copilot, you've got work or web. Web is effectively Copilot chat. It's the free version of Copilot. Web means that when you type something in a prompt, I'll show you in a second, it's not going to use any of your data to actually be able to help generate a response. So, one of the things that I might want to do is I could just ask a simple thing like, so what are the most recent documents I've accessed or edited? Now, in Copilot, since it has access to my data, it should be able to go and look for this and give me some sort of response. We'll see. This may or may not actually work. And I'm using a demo tenant that I had. That's why I know I'm not Hannah Waterman. It gives me some links, and it gives me it's when I last modify it, I can go ahead and I can click on these things, and it takes me directly to those files. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, it gives me some of those references and sources and whatnot. Pretty powerful tool. It's a lot of things that a lot of people do. But here's another one. One of the key things we found in working with AI models is to help the AI agent help it know what it is that you're doing. And so here I'm saying you're an HR representative welcoming new employees. So using a code of conduct document, explain the three most important things. And in Copilot, let's see if this actually works. See, it wasn't going to work this time. So this is working really fun. There's a file that I've recently used called code of conduct, and what you do is you just type in that file name and it should do it, but it's not working. Go figure, right? So what you can also do, though, is if you know the URL of the file, this is just those live demos, you can actually just type it in. And so I've got a code of conduct file, and I'm basically telling it within my tenant, could you go ahead and create something for me? So one was I was able to work with my data right away. Two, I could send it a document, have it help me explain it to me, gives me some references as to where it came from to fact check that this is actually what I wanted to do. But another big thing people are doing with Copilot and with AI models is to say, help me learn something. So, your data analyst looking to work with Fabric, summarize the main benefits of Fabric. This would be with my data or without my data. This is just general training. This is an accelerated tool. Instead of doing a Google search and going and just starting to research something and start clicking on learn material from Microsoft, etc., you can ask AI to help onboard you quicker and to speed you up on a general topic much more quickly. So gave me some results, wonderful stuff, great. What I want to do is quickly pivot though to some other things so you can see some of the resources that actually came from Microsoft, which is what I expect. I'm going to pivot. So let's go ahead and let's go to a Word document. So I have Word open. Okay, so kind of similar idea as before. I want to go ahead and have Copilot help me generate some content. And so one of the things that this keeps changing on me, that I am on Word, but I've got at the top, I can have AI start to help me understand or create some sort of draft for me, shall we say. So I'm going to go ahead and type this in. So I'm using the code of conduct, drafting an executive summary for it. If I click on add, I should be able to type in code of conduct. Yeah, this happened to me yesterday as well. Why it's not finding it, I wish I could say that AI was perfect, but unfortunately it's not. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. When you type in /, that's basically telling it to go look for a document. I'm just giving it the URL to a document that I just showed you. So this can help me start to draft a message to actually start to do something, which is pretty cool, with what you could do. Don't ever, please ever send me this document. Always proof it, make sure it's good, make sure it's what you wanted to do. Maybe you want to rewrite something. You could go ahead at an existing document. If you highlight it, you're able to go ahead and say, rewrite it for me. I could tell it to make it shorter, use half the number of words. Let's see if it actually does that properly. But it can start to work with your document and start to play with it a little more. Okay, yep, perfect. That's close enough. The way that this inline Copilot works, it never likes to overwrite what you did. It always just tries to go ahead and add it. So now you can say, yeah, I like that, or this is just a Word doc. I can go ahead and edit it however I want. Word's really interesting as well. You can work with Copilot outside of the document itself to ask information. So now it's already pre-grounded on this document. You can start to go ahead and ask it to do things, and summarize, or, any of this kind of stuff over here on the right. That works really well. I know I'm being kind of fast, but I just want to be able to show some stuff, and we have only so much time. You also have Copilot in Teams. That's a big one as well. A lot of you probably seen this, but you can start to work with Copilot within, I was just looking for my next one. You can work with Copilot within given chats and whatnot. So I can go ahead and spin up Copilot, and I can say, summarize my conversation with Paloma. I'm showing you 1% of Copilot in Teams, by the way, as well. There's so much you can do with meeting notes, so we'll get into that later. But yeah, what you're hopefully seeing here is Copilot is already set up to use my data, and it can make things go a lot quicker. Now, if I pivot quickly to ChatGPT, ChatGPT is slightly different. It's just a web interface. It doesn't necessarily have direct access to my files yet. Now, in the enterprise plan, you can actually point it to your data. There's some security issues you'll want to think about that Rez will bring up. But I want to show you some really, really fast information here. So this is kind of interesting. So I'm stuck with how to determine how to use a lakehouse or data warehouse. So can you go ahead and summarize that for me? Now, when that's happening, I can then go ahead and say, great, okay, it's going to create this information for me. But if I wanted to use this, I'd have to basically copy and paste it into some sort of Word document or something like that. I'm going to do one last thing, then we're going to get back to our content, because there's just so much I could show, and I know we've got so much more to share with you. Come on. I know that I could potentially have pre-done all this, but then you might have accused that I blamed me for cheating. This is all using GPT-5, by the way, which is pretty cool. So I can now say, well, can you create a Word document for me? So this is a newer feature of GPT that it can do this. And what it's doing here is it's going to go ahead, and it should at least create a specific document for me. Now, while this is happening, one thing I'm going to do is go back over to Copilot. There's a new feature that has come out here. I know I'm going really fast, but there's this idea of basically creating custom instructions where you could tell Copilot like who you are, what you are, you wanted to know more about you, and you wanted to do certain things with all of the prompts that you give it. And that's set up for you throughout Copilot. Within GPT-5, they've really gone in and they've created, so you can see it created a Word doc for me that I can now download, and I could then, oh, well, that worked for me last time. I don't know why it didn't now. You can create personalities. And you can say I already set one up. You're Sparky, I named it. You're a conversational AI. Here's these things that you do. And you can start to give personalities. Copilot doesn't create those per se. They do it more in these custom agents. But you can see over on the left-hand side, you can create projects within ChatGPT, but it's all driven via a web interface. So lots of really cool stuff going on there. I know that was a quick intro. I want to get back to our material as quick as I can, because we have so much more to share with you. Coming up. All right. So I've gone over a lot of this, but like, what are some of the key differences here? Really, it's both tools are using generative AI. They're both using, effectively, they're using ChatGPT's GPT 4.05 models to really build this ability to have good responses to any kind of prompt you do. Copilot, though, is built to enhance productivity within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. Like, that's its big thing. Yes, it can do what OpenAI can do, what ChatGPT can do, but it's really designed to be this embedded tool. ChatGPT, by contrast, is really a standalone model. It's designed to be a web-based thing for broad, really flexible use cases and whatnot. So, Copilot's got this great integration. It already has context to your emails, your documents, your calendars with security. We'll get to that. Whereas ChatGPT is relying on you telling what it is. So I think we really need to get into security and privacy, Rez. So let's hand it over to you, and let's think through the big issues I've started to hint on.
Perfect. The first thing that our clients ask, in our case, usually Microsoft cloud-based organization, is how does this all work when it comes to security and compliance? Microsoft's Copilot itself operates entirely within your Microsoft 365 environment, or what they call a tenant, meaning that it understands your existing setup that you've already spent a lot of time in configuring, whether it's your Entra ID, Purview, Defender, OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, permission structure, so that it means that it respects all of your existing permissions, identity, access management, and all the data boundaries that you've kind of already configured. And Copilot is built on Microsoft's enterprise-grade compliance stack, and it also includes native support for regulations like GDPR, HIPAA, FedRAMP, a bunch more. It also has that full auditing and logging capability that you get within the admin centers, and that can ensure your company policies are adhered to and gives you tools to uncover any cases of abuse within those auditing. In contrast, ChatGPT is that pure play public facing model. OpenAI does offer, as Eric said many times already, these enterprise versions with stronger controls. However, the default experience lacks that deep integration with enterprise identity or governance. And honestly, it's more expensive. OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman himself, recently warned that conversations with ChatGPT in themselves lack that legal confidentiality protections like a doctor-patient or an attorney-client privilege. And that really raises serious privacy concerns for users who treat the AI as a therapist or a life coach. So you're sending your data to be trained to OpenAI. So think about that. Even Sam Altman said that. From a data residency perspective, with Copilot, your data stays in your tenant organization boundaries, and Copilot never sends your data anywhere outside of your tenant, including to OpenAI. What it does on the back end, it uses this thing called Azure hosted GPT models within Microsoft's entire security infrastructure. Whereas with ChatGPT, it's going to the OpenAI servers, and the boundaries are available as part of that concept just for the enterprise version as part of this concept called workspaces. And from a training perspective, Copilot doesn't use your data to train models, while ChatGPT may, unless you explicitly configured it otherwise. And this feature is only available in the enterprise version. So let's go a little bit deeper now and reiterate how each of these tools handles your data from a storage, access, and compliance perspective. Oh no, the slide's not showing again.
Oh no.
Hey, you might want to share your screen so we can get everybody up.
Yeah, really weird, everybody. Yeah, let me go ahead and figure out why that slide isn't showing there, Rez.
While you're doing that, I'll just keep on going.
You know what to say, so go ahead and do that while I'll try to get the slide up for you all.
Okay, perfect. It's even more important nowadays for an organization to care about their data privacy and data residency, especially with everything that's happening across the world. Things like hacking and breaches and auditing unauthorized access, protecting an organization's IP. These are top concerns for especially regulated industries and global organizations. With Microsoft 365 Copilot, your data never leaves your Microsoft 365 tenant, and it's processed in region, and it respects your compliance boundaries and identity controls. So when you first set up your Microsoft 365 cloud tenant, you got to choose which region you wanted it in. And from a disaster recovery perspective, Microsoft also protects you by replicating your data to other of their data centers in that same region. In contrast, ChatGPT's data handling depends on the version of ChatGPT you have. Both the free and plus tiers may process data in OpenAI's infrastructure. And unless the users have opted out manually, anybody who uses it, their input, chats, prompts may be used to improve their models, which is a smart thing to do, honestly, on the OpenAI side of the equation to enhance their product, but doesn't give us great comfort as businesses. So imagine finding an answer to someone else, and when somebody propose a question to ChatGPT, that's something related to your business data or your IP. So that's why it's paramount that businesses have those policies to ensure that, that their employees are restricted from using business data on ChatGPT at work. So when you're considering your choices, Copilot's default privacy model is really enterprise first, while ChatGPT's default model is public first, with enterprise options available at higher tiers. Now let's explore how Copilot's deep integration into Microsoft 365 changes the game for productivity. Over to you, Eric.
Okay, let me see if I can get this to work properly. I don't know why that wasn't working, by the way. I'm hoping this next slide does in fact work. Sent in Teams. I always prefer this model better, that actually doing the presenting in it. There we go. Yep, we know that slide didn't work. Perfect. Hopefully you all are seeing a Copilot integrations with Microsoft 365.
Looks good.
I think that is a yes. Excellent. Okay. So how does Copilot then integrate with 365? Now you saw it in general, but let's dig into it because I know I'm a fast speaker. I'm just too excited, want to share it all. Really, Copilot itself, it's not a separate app. It does have a web interface. We saw that. It can be used as that. Great value there. I use that half the time, 2/3 of the time myself, but it's big power, it's big superpower. And why I would be paying for that over ChatGPT is its integration. It's built into the tools that I'm using every day, in particular something like Team. So in Word, you saw it. It helps me draft messages, draft documents, huge time saver. But that's also me. I just a blank page is sort of one of my biggest fears in life. It makes me freeze up. Having some content to work with is great. I know writers who love writing, still having a 2-minute prompt and then to get a draft can still speed them up greatly, and then they could add their personal messaging to it and still save hours and more on that. Huge benefits there. Excel. All right, so Excel and Copilot, I have a love-hate relationship with it in all transparency. It is okay-ish. It can be really good at, and Microsoft is promising it'll be really good at generating formulas, analyzing trends, and surfacing insights and whatnot. I think there's room for it to grow there, but that's what a lot of you are really asking me when you come for custom AI questions is, I have all this data that lives in Excel or it lives in some sort of data warehouse or say SQL database, and I want to drive value out of it. Totally get it. That's sort of a holy grail right now for a lot of us. Excel is going to be our starting point, and I know that Microsoft is heavily vested in it. Outlook, it's about streamlining our email management, suggesting replies, summarizing threads. That could be a hard one. You get jumped into a thread and you just want to quickly know what is everyone talking about. Huge. Teams, big one. All right, Teams is where I know that our team here at Creospark uses, I think, Copilot the most, is working with meetings. We're on a lot of meetings, and to be able to have Copilot as our companion to summarize meetings. I missed a meeting yesterday. It was one of our marketing syncs. I was able to go and have Copilot help me consume that 30-minute meeting in a much tighter space. I got the key highlights. I was able to see where I was mentioned. Within 5 or 10 minutes, I was able to totally get caught up, and I didn't have to listen to the whole 30 minutes. Very, very, very helpful. So, I could show some of this in action as well, so you see it. This is more that animated idea. You can see how that on the left-hand side, how Word was supposed to help you find those documents. Hit and miss. When you asked a question, is that normal? That it couldn't find documents? No, it's really not. It's that my demo tenant I use, I just don't use very much, so it had some older stale data. Copilot is pretty good at understanding the most recent files you've been working with, and it can find those pretty fast. It's one of those acceleration things. If you look at Excel, you kind of can see how it's supposed to work. The key points to Excel, there's 2 things I use it for. It is pretty good at saying, hey, look, I want to create a formula to create a red background for a cell if the value is under 50. It's really good at doing that for you. Not a formula, but it can help you understand how to do that. The thing with Excel, one of the big catches that if you're going to use this, you all need to understand is Excel and Copilot only works with table data. You need to have defined the data on a tab as a table, then you can surface it. And that demo I just told you, I've gotten it to work where I said, hey, in table 1, go ahead and highlight column D so that it has that background color. And it has been pretty good at doing that. But it is really good at just like general upskilling in Excel, so I don't have to do any kind of content switching. I don't have to switch to another tool. If you want to look at Outlook and Teams, we didn't look at Outlook. I don't have an animation on this one. That's the way it goes sometimes. But Outlook, Copilot can work really well for helping you manage that email overload too many of us get, summarizing those long threads as I've talked about, helping suggest some intelligent replies to some emails just to get that draft going so you can send it. Please, please, please don't ever send anything that's just been generated by AI. Ensure it's your words. Please proof it. Make sure it's right. AI has gotten a little squirrely sometimes. I have found this thing called hallucinations, which we'll get to shortly, has gone up. Copilot and ChatGPT don't seem to be giving me some of the right answers I was looking for. That's the nature of this. It's not perfect. It's often a untrained intern that can do 7 months worth of work in 7 seconds, but it's still not someone you would promote outside of an internship. Just saying. Teams, Copilot is really your virtual assistant, capturing notes, meeting notes, etc., surfacing key takeaways. We have some Copilot automation set up in our tenant where it helps us manage our meetings in place, and it tells us, hey, look, your meeting's halfway through. Based on your agenda, you need to get to this. Warning, you're going over. It's great because it's all mine in chat, and it's kind of none of us want, or most of us don't want to be rude in meetings to say, hey, you're taking too long. This is that automated thing that could say you're taking too long and this you may want to move on. And, it helps you stay forward without saying, oh, well, it's always that person who's telling me. No, it's AI. So I know some quick overviews here, but Rez, I want to hand over to you then. And let's see how GPT itself, how it handles integration and flexibility, really through more like that plugin system.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
And it worked.
Good. From a flexibility and API perspective, ChatGPT's strength lies in its flexibility. It's really a platform and not a product. That's why you see so many plugins, apps, services, all tying in through it with ChatGPT all across the market. Users can build their own custom GPTs, integrate APIs, use plugins to extend functionality across domains like finance and legal and marketing and more. Developers and teams can deploy ChatGPT via web, mobile, or embedded into their own apps using OpenAI's APIs. In contrast, Microsoft Copilot Studio offers that more structured, low-code environment to build task-specific copilots that integrate with Microsoft 365, Power Platform, and the Microsoft Graph. While ChatGPT offers that broad flexibility, Copilot Studio is more optimized for that secure, governed enterprise workflows. Now let's see how ChatGPT supports similar knowledge work, but in a more open-minded, flexible way. So can you go to the next slide, Eric? So here's some examples of how ChatGPT can be used for research, ideation, and content generation. For the next two advanced knowledge agents use cases in both ChatGPT and Copilot, we're not going to do any demos or comparisons, as we're probably going to do another entire webinar dedicated to them soon. So stay up to speed with our mailing list and our events page to know when these are going to happen. But we're definitely going to probably talk to them a little bit more when they're a little bit more refined. From a research perspective, ChatGPT here can quickly summarize that dense material. It could generate citations, help structure the reports you want. This is really important and useful for analysts, consultants, and students. It's that powerful brainstorming and ideation partner that helps you generate names, taglines, and creative concepts across the industries. From blog posts to emails, ChatGPT also helps you draft and generate and refine content in a really fast manner with that speed and flexibility you're looking for. And ChatGPT's strength lies in that open-ended adaptability. And it's not tied to a specific tool or workflow, making it ideal for that creative and exploratory task perspective. Now let's explore how Microsoft is extending Copilot's capabilities with these advanced task-based agents. So,
okay, I'll fix it.
Okay, I'll get going while you're fixing it. So Microsoft has, not only does ChatGPT have these research and ideation and content generation kind of knowledge tools, Microsoft has released these task-specific copilots, such as Researcher and Analyst and other specialized agents, like for Planner if you're doing any project management. These task-specific copilots are really AI agents that are designed for that deep expertise needed within a particular domain or workflow. So The first one we'll talk about is similar to the ChatGPT one, which is the researcher copilot. It helps knowledge workers synthesize that information from across internal documents and external sources. And it generates those structured outputs like reports or briefs. An example that I did recently was a marketing campaign pointing towards PowerPoint and Word documents and getting some industry specific best practices from the web. And it was able to come and generate that report for me. The Analyst Copilot goes beyond basic Excel formulas like Eric just showed you, right? It gives you those insights and helps you understand the anomalies in your data and even forecast trends in your organizational data. Lately, I pointed it to our weekly financial forecasts and actuals to track and identify patterns on a yearly basis, so we can identify those slow periods and really busy periods. The Planner Copilot is great as it can translate goals into structured project plans, assign tasks, and align with tools like Microsoft Planner and Project. And our PMO team are beginning to use that capability and finding it really useful to identify tasks that were completed today, put it in their status report, generate status reports, identify important goals and where they may be off track in the schedules. These agents really are purpose-built and they're natively secure. And the big thing is that they're deeply integrated with your office environment, allowing you more than just that general AI assistant. So now let's compare how users actually interact with these tools and what that means for adoption and productivity. And I'll pass it off to you, Eric, on prompting and UX.
That's really interesting how how it doesn't seem to like to display some of those in Teams. I don't know if any of you seen that before. I have not. It just doesn't seem to like some of the background images we've used for some reason. Really frustrating. Your questions all that you all are asking, great stuff. Please keep them up. Okay, so user experience, we've seen these as well, but again, let's go ahead and highlight that. Really here, if we look at Copilot here, it's the embedded aspect of it. It's embedded within the applications that we're using. That's really its big key point. It's not that the web interface component, if you just, you saw it in Teams, you saw it if I just went into a browser, you do get a ChatGPT-like experience, and it does work great. It still does have context to your data. You saw a little bit, I was frustrated with some of my linking to my documents. Some of you said it in some of the Q&As that you're seeing some frustrations there as well. I get it. I wish I could say that Microsoft was perfect here. I'm not going to try to defend them. They're moving as fast as they can, I do believe. And that doesn't mean I'm going to go to a different system just because it can't as easily find my document, because I'm finding that it's harder with other tools and whatnot. ChatGPT, that prompting and user experience is all really about the web interface. And so you need to potentially describe your needs a little more clearly. You need to point it to more specific documents clearly. Whereas Copilot, you could generally ask about something and you don't necessarily need to access the document. Like maybe there's 3 documents that talk about an HR policy, or as I'm trying to create this presentation with Rez and we want to use Copilot to help us with some wording or something, we can often just talk about, what's Copilot up to or something, and it might reference our own material without us specifically having to say, here's the document I want it to use. Whereas ChatGPT, no, you might need to be a little more specific with that. So what that means in the enterprise, what we're finding is that Copilot can potentially have a lower learning curve once people know that it exists. So that could potentially work really well for enterprises. Whereas ChatGPT, it's really flexible. So it really can reward users that are more comfortable experimenting and integrating, or organizations that want to build more sophisticated integrated solutions. You might be able to get a little more out of ChatGPT's API system, because you can go directly to the model. Now, Microsoft does have competing products to this. They have Azure OpenAI Foundry. They have a whole bunch of services in Azure AI. They also have Copilot Studio to attempt with that. But I can see that it potentially could be a little less expensive. We'll get to licensing soon. If you're really looking for more of a custom solution to be able to do this kind of stuff. But Both systems, they use natural language for interaction. It's really the user experience is shaped by the environment where you're consuming it. So I know a lot of you have been asking about prices and whatnot. So let's take some high level look at it. And then we can maybe dig into more. If you have more questions, by all means, please do put them in chat and we'll try to get to them. So how this all works. Basic Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot licensing is $30 per user per month. It's really an add-on, though, on top of an enterprise plan, or there's some of the government plans and whatnot. But really, it's one of those like 3 or 5, the E3, E5 like equivalent that you need in order for 365 Copilot to be allowed. Now, they have a free version called Copilot Chat, which is currently not grounded in your data, nor is it integrated in your applications, but it acts much more like just ChatGPT. So but it has a lot of the enterprise security built into it. So even with Copilot Chat, they're not using your prompts to help retrain models. Your conversations within Copilot Chat aren't going to make it into other people's responses, whereas ChatGPT doesn't make that promise in their free versions. That's not their model. So you with that price though, you get your integration into the Office Outlook, the Microsoft 365 tools. Of course, you need that 365 license, which you talked about. Your customization side is really driven around Copilot Studio. This is not the conversation for that. That's a whole other webinar on talking about what Copilot Studio can do. But if you want to customize Copilot itself, Copilot Studio or Azure OpenAI Foundry or the Azure AI Studio systems is where you're going to go. More than likely, you'll be paying for some of that. Now, if you have the Microsoft 365 Copilot license, you can build your own custom agents in Copilot Studio for internal use for other Copilot licensed users at no additional cost. There's a lot of subtlety to unlicensed users, but and public facing and things like that. You can also start building SharePoint agents, which are very similar to Copilot, but built for SharePoint. Really, though, if your organization goes into that $30 per user per month for at least 50 users, you get some really good, powerful stuff there. And data handling you've talked about, the data stays in your tenant, and Microsoft has said your region. It never leaves that, and they aren't using it. Switch over to ChatGPT. From there, you're looking at their plus plan, excuse me. That's really their entry tier is $20 per user per month. But then they have additional plans that go into team and enterprise, which can just, the pricing can get a little more interesting there. So you can start paying for it. So apples to apples, you're closer to probably that $30 user per month versus $20 per user per month. If you want to get that integration into Microsoft 365 data, you've got to go past the plus and it will get more expensive. And the catch though is that your data your Microsoft 365 data to be used by ChatGPT, even if you're paying for it where they're not going to use your data to retrain their model or anything, it's safe and secure. It has left the boundary of your tenant. And a lot of you, that's a no-no, can't happen. Some of you under regulations, it can't happen because it could also leave your region. And that could be a huge issue as well. Not so much I hear from the States, except more like defense and whatnot, but definitely European markets, even Canadian markets, kind of outside the States. That region is a huge issue for lots of reasons, a lot of legal. So it's something to think about. Your access to this, though, is very broad. It's a web-based thing, but you do have mobile apps, you have APIs, etc. Customization on the ChatGPT side is building your custom GPTs, APIs, plugins, etc. Like you have lots of flexibility. And again, Copilot does offer this. Microsoft offered these, but they're not as, to me, as foundational because that's ChatGPT is really based on that chatbot foundational model aspect and going from there. We did talk about the data handling, which at the enterprise level, they do have some data isolation options. The catch would be, though, is if you really want to tap your data from an external source, such as Microsoft 365, that data will have to go across the wire. It will go across the internet to get into ChatGPT's systems to be able to process it. And that's just something to think about. Yeah, so Rez, let's kind of, I know it's fast, ask questions in the chat, I'll answer up. Rez, we'll hand over to you, hopefully with deployment and IT readiness.
Perfect. So deploying M365 Copilot in your organization is a more involved process because it's deeply integrated into your tenant. It requires licensing, configuration, and ensuring your Microsoft 365 data is accessible and well governed. Your IT teams really need to prepare for that data readiness, user enablement, and governance policies, especially if you're in a regulated industry. In contrast, ChatGPT can be accessed instantly at that individual level, and enterprise plans can be rolled out fairly straightforwardly with SSO and admin controls. Copilot's deployment effort really reflects its enterprise-grade integration, while ChatGPT's ease of access makes it ideal for that quick experimentation or that lightweight use. Although we're focusing on the SmackDown, we do want to give a few tips when honing in on the Microsoft 365 Copilot deployment side, readiness and adoption side of the equation. So let's just concentrate on that. Eric, if you can go to the next slide, let's see if that's rendering.
Right. Trying to answer questions here. Oh, of course it didn't work.
Okay. Yeah. So
keep talking, I'll get it running.
Okay, so if you get that slide going, I'll quickly talk about what you should be doing when you're getting ready to deploy Microsoft 365 Copilot in your organization and from an adoption standpoint. So the first thing is you need to prepare your data. You need to first get your data into Microsoft 365 within your teams, your OneDrives, your SharePoint, and your channels, you name it, right? So, and then you want to classify your content and optimize your storage. Next, you want to secure your data. You want to do things like executing a content risk assessment. You want to enforce permissions to that sensitive content and implement policies to secure your information. You also want to address your data security and data access concerns through some sort of content remediation strategy. Things that are listed here are also important. Content auditing to uncover that overexposed sensitive content. Use case development to target that adoption. That's when you should start that. You want to do that batch update of permissions and workspace access because everything in Microsoft 365 is security trimmed. So if you don't have that right security from the get-go, people are going to be getting that access through Copilot unless you've locked it down. And this is where you want to lock down those sensitive workspaces with policies and use tools like SharePoint Advanced Management to support you doing that on the security side. Next, you want to optimize, and optimize involves, setting up that center of excellence, just like the other aspects of your modern work deployments. You want to do that Copilot adoption planning with some pilot rollouts for different business units. You want that go-forward governance of workspace creation, classification, sensitivity labels, retention labels, provisioning of your SharePoint sites and teams. You want to automate those access reviews and data lifecycle policies. You also want to analyze the Copilot usage reports and leverage tools that are built into your Microsoft 365 tenant, like the Copilot dashboard to observe that user adoption, retention, and engagement. And then lastly, you want to start to getting to building those advanced custom agents using those tools that Eric said, like Copilot Studio, as well as Azure AI Foundry. So once deployed, governance becomes that critical point. So let's jump back in on how each tool, Copilot and ChatGPT, supports that oversight and control. So governance is essential when deploying AI at scale, especially in regulated industries. So M365 Copilot benefits from that full suite of Microsoft's governance tools. So tools that you guys are all familiar with, tools like Entra ID for identity, Purview for compliance, built-in support for data loss prevention and Purview, and e-discovery and retention. So all those labels, policies, and configurations that you guys have already probably set up there all get inherited with your use of Copilot. Admins can now control, access, monitor usage, and enforce policies across all the apps and roles. ChatGPT, however, offers governance features only in its team and enterprise tiers. This includes configurations like SSO and workspace level controls, and it gives you some basic admin dashboards, probably not to the level you want in your organization. But it really does lack that deep integration with the enterprise compliance tools you're using on a daily basis with your Microsoft 365 tenant. So, which makes it less suitable, in our opinion, for organizations with those strict regulatory requirements. Let's now address a common concern with Gen AI, accuracy and hallucinations, and how each platform manages them. Over to you, Eric.
Right. Excellent. So when you have questions about if we can help you all, we do. I was typing out a response. Absolutely, we can help you all deploy Microsoft 365 Copilot. We have different ways. I'll get that in chat shortly. I know we're going a little long on time here. If you have to drop off, the recording will be available, but I really want to make sure Rez and I get to share all this really good stuff for you. So this is a huge one for a lot of people, is around ethics, as well as that hallucination. I can't even say it now. Hallucination management. I want to say a bigger word than that. This one's a challenging one. AI ethics, not so much to me, but the hallucination management one. So the accuracy side of it, how can we ensure that these different tools are providing good answers, good responses? Microsoft, through Copilot, attempts to do that by grounding our responses, utilizing our data, our actual data within our system. Whereas ChatGPT has really got to rely on its model as well as the prompt that you've provided. So it relies on how you've provided the prompt itself and what it has. The transparency side is really important. You need to fact check anything that comes out of an AI model, period, as right now. I don't know if that's going to go anyway anytime soon. Copilot side, it provides source citing. You saw that in a lot of the demos that I was showing, where it actually tells you where it got that information from, and you can go and validate it. Copilot or ChatGPT, the citations are getting stronger. They used to have a lot less. They're getting a lot better using RAG, and they actually provide it. I still found them to not be as robust because it's more open. If I've prompted ChatGPT, make sure you provide citations. It seems a little better at it. So hallucination risks that we see really on the Copilot side should be lower. I'm sure you can prove me wrong, but it should be lower because it's really using our data, especially if your prompt is attempting to utilize content within your organization. Whereas OpenAI, if you're trying to know more about like what you have in your data, there's a higher potential risk, especially those open-ended prompts, because it may not have context to all the data that you're looking for to be able to provide a good answer. Whereas now ethical framework, so that's the AI ethics Microsoft has there. You can just Google this, go to Copilot, go to ChatGPT, and ask for what Microsoft's responsible AI is. What are the principles? That's the big 3 keywords, Microsoft responsible AI. And they go through their primary 4 pillars on how they've designed their AI models. Whereas OpenAI, they have a usage policy and safety layers in place. And you can ask ChatGPT to explain that more if you want. I think that Microsoft here has this more of a foundational piece because they really want to be a productivity tool in the workspace that you can trust. ChatGPT is a little more open, a little more broad. They're pushing the boundaries quicker. They're at the forefront. It's not that it's more lax. It's just slightly different in how they look at it and what they want to do with that. Okay, so we're getting towards the end here. I think this is a big one for you all. Like, which one should you go with? And this one is challenged because we're biased. I mean, we're a Microsoft shop. This is what we've been doing for many, many years. That being said, I want us to try to be fair here. So how does this look to me? A lot of them have the same stuff. They both can help you with learning new things. They both have a web interface that works really well. Where I think it comes down to is Copilot. I believe in the workplace for workplace productivity. It's built within the UIs we're using, so there's a lower learning curve. That being said, I understand you go to ChatGPT, it's just there. It asks you for a prompt. You can plug in a prompt, but when you start to try to get it to like use your data, there's a higher barrier of entry for a lot of users. They just don't understand that. They just want it to work. Like, why don't you just know my knowledge? So that's why I say Copilot has a little bit strength there on the organizational side. So of course, it's deeply embedded in Microsoft 365. Copilot is. So if you're looking for an agent or an AI built on your data, Copilot's really there. It has that tenant-bound data. ChatGPT just can't do that because it has to get the data outside of Microsoft, and has some really strong admin controls. ChatGPT, on the other hand, you can deploy that often instantly. You just turn it on and give it to people because it doesn't have access to your data, so there's a lot less chance of a data leak, as long as you can at least tell your users, don't start putting in our data unless you really know what you've set it up right. If you just give people a free version of ChatGPT and they start referencing your top secret material in their prompts, you might have a massive data leak. So that could be a problem. If you're really looking to build custom AI models, custom AI solutions, I gotta say that, yeah, ChatGPT might be a spot you're going to want to look at, or maybe you're going to start looking at some of those other ones like Anthropic and others, because the barrier of entry to that for your heavy developers might be a little more powerful. They might have a stronger community to work with. So I kind of get it. If you're looking for something built around your data and your Microsoft tools, Copilot really is hard for me to say no to. But if you want something that you just can deploy instantly, can potentially be a little cheaper, or you really want to build custom stuff, I can see where ChatGPT might be where you want to go a little stronger. So we're really getting close here because I know we're going over. Where's this going? That's a huge one. I totally understand it. Microsoft is looking to build ability for it to compete on the customization with Copilot Studio. There's a question around costs on that. The cost usage on yeah, I have to answer that for later because it can get a little tricky on where extra costs can get in. Microsoft's really looking to build super advanced agents where they can be more autonomous, and Copilot, ChatGPT is doing the same thing. They want it simple for us to be able to create an autonomous agent on a personal basis that can just do things for us. I'm finding it's not nearly as easy as people want it to be, and I don't think it's going to be easy anytime soon. You asking ChatGPT to go buy some concert tickets for you, we're a long ways away from that. And we are. Lots of reasons why, and I can get into that later if you ever wanted me to. So some super AI enhancements are going to be coming down the wire just to make AI more powerful. We're looking for it. Governance tools, definitely going to have some improvement in how we can govern this whole thing, understand what's being done, protect things and whatnot. And there's a lot of efforts being done on the vision side. So that's really helping understand not just be text-based, shall I say. So lots going on there, lots of future. We'll see what happens. So to sum this all up, hopefully what I'm really trying to do here is like, what's our big takeaways? Copilot, really ideal for that integrated secure productivity built around the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, whereas ChatGPT is really flexible, creative, really good at exploratory tasks. It's bleeding edge, gives you good stuff, pretty good. They blow up too. A few of you might have watched a couple weeks ago when they released GPT-5. It caused some massive kerfuffles, and they had eCrow a little bit on it. Security governance and integrations can be some key differentiator for you. It just depends on how you want your AI agents to use your data. You can find that the tools could coexist based on the different roles or what people are doing. I've seen it, and it can work. You don't have to go with one or the other, and you might use both tools. I use both tools, by the way. For a couple different reasons. So really for you, I think your next step is what's your maturity, your AI maturity, how ready is your team or your org for AI, and how are you going to build out from that? Where's your data? Is it ready for this? Are you going to have it use your data, or do you just want to provide a simple AI agent that's not using your data? You might find that ChatGPT Plus at $20 per user per month is cheaper for you and gives you some protection. Really though, always identifying those high impact use cases. If you're going to get into AI, what's the point? Trying to figure that out is going to be really important. What are you trying to gain out of it? Where are you going to get the ROI? Because I believe $30 per user per month, I save my organization that much in productivity every day. I'm paying for it every day by its increase in my productivity. So that should not be a factor. It should be, how can we prove the ROI on it? Get the people involved in security fast, and get your stakeholders engaged too, so that we can protect our data and make sure it's good. I like piloting a lot, and this is things are changing so fast. Stay informed as best you can, and I think you'll have a lot more success with it. So questions, we're going to have to skip this just because of time. You've been asking to chat. Please do that. Send follow-ups. Rez and I are here for you. We are doing everything we can to answer that. I want to hand it quickly over to Prem for our quick survey and our chance to win.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Rez. It is very informative. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining us today. Next week, we'll be receiving the presentation slides, video, and a video with a blog and a with the recap email. Also, your feedback is very valuable to us, and as it helps us improve our webinars and create high quality content for you all. And to access the survey, simply scan the code on your the QR code on your screen, and your participation is directly contributed to the quality of this webinar. And you'll also have a chance to win $50 Amazon gift card. Awesome.
Excellent. I'll leave this up for like 5 more seconds.
Yeah.
Any last words, Rez?
Oh, well, hopefully everybody learned a lot and some with those key takeaways, and come to us with any Copilot questions.
Excellent. Thank you all for staying late.
Absolutely.
For those of you who could, got the recording will be up shortly. Wonderful. Rez, always been a pleasure. Always a pleasure when I get to host with you. It's good stuff. So hope you all learned a lot, and have a great rest of the day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Oh, there's, yeah, how do you keep in touch with questions? Ping us, email me directly. I'll answer them here as well.